Whenever SAKTK publishes or releases a new update, it always tends to both bring a lot of hype from the community and attracts the attention of many older Roblox players back to the game. From smaller scale updates like the introduction of case files and new rooms, to huge events like holiday updates or even the debut of a whole new mode. And while it has been a bit since SAKTK got a huge notable overhaul, when the updates do happen, pretty much nobody can complain about the new content added to the game. But you know, this is SAKTK, and if you've been following along with the game over the past year or so, you know that there hasn't really been any major updates that have changed the game massively recently. And obviously this is due to a lot of factors. The fact that Homer is always really busy, the fact that there's only like 2 active devs working on the game at the moment. I mean, the whole Roblox platform was felt dry over the past few months anyway, and the average Roblox game is dipping in quality as each day passes. But by looking past all of the reasons why SAKTK hasn't had many changes to its formula recently, in this video I wanted to talk about an upcoming SAKTK update that will change the game forever. And that update is Sector 2. But before we even talk about the Sector 2 update, what it even is really, and what kind of stuff it will bring to the table, we have to discuss its origins. And I know this part within videos can be a little boring, you know, discussing the history of something, but I'll try and make it interesting, and plus it'll make sense later, don't worry. Our story starts in 2020. Oh my god, 2020 was 3 years ago. But yeah, anyway, 2020. Besides the fact I had a male Roblox avatar, oh boy, that's aged well. But in SAKTK, when you drop down to the main area back then in test servers, you guys remember those, instead of there being a single door that led to the main area like we have today, there was actually a second entrance on the opposite side of the room, which led to a small location dubbed the Aberrations area. Now, why was this location called the Aberrations area, you might ask? Well, obviously because Aberration actually spawned there. Yep, that's right, before Aberration was a fully fledged out boss, she was a simple killer just like Michael Myers or even Slender. I say simple, but she was actually super complicated and unique to this area. And yes, you could actually play as Aberration in killer mode for a short time, albeit a heavily nerfed version of her, but it was still pretty cool. But eventually this area, which had a super cool and unique art style to it, I might add, I mean, it was unlike anything else in SAKTK we'd seen at that point. It was completely alien to the main area, was completely removed from the game. Well, I mean, it was really removed from the game, it was removed from test servers, it was never actually in the main game, so I guess one could argue that it was never removed, but you get it, whatever. Aberration was eventually added to Boss Rush, but yeah, the Aberration area was never really saw the light of day again. And there were a lot of cool ideas being used in this area, such as keycards with laser doors, and it even had hidden lore implications with the new papers that were added alongside the update. Well, I guess you could say the area was somewhat reworked into the Aberration boss fight room, but that's kind of pushing it. It's not really the same. But yeah, after the area was removed, there were no plans at all from both Homer and the developers to add something like it back into SAKTK ever again, which is kinda sad. You know, we did get the Wendigo area, so it's not the end of the world, I suppose. I mean, I like the Wendigo area. But of course, a couple of months after the Aberration area was removed, the YouTuber and content creator known as Washipsing14, yeah, I'm sure you guys know who Washipsing14 is, started suggesting ways that the Aberration area could be re-added into the game, but this time as a bigger and larger location than it had previously been within test servers. Although I don't actually have proof of these messages since the old SAKTK Discord was deleted from history, Washipsing14 and Hexavilius, another SAKTK dev who I've mentioned on the channel before, liked the idea and they started working on SAKTK 2 together. Now, as these two were working on the remaster of Aberrations area, well, it wasn't really a remaster, we're just kind of adding on to what the Aberrations area already introduced into SAKTK. Sector 2 started to form, and really became its own thing, completely distancing itself from the main game, or Sector 1. Well, there's gotta be a Sector 2 if there's a Sector 1, right? And from there, we pretty much know everything else. Home Mafia 1 approved of the idea, of course, and many other devs would later learn about Sector 2's existence, since at this point the public didn't even know the project was a thing yet, well, until War made his video on it, which now makes him both a developer and a content creator for the game. Nice. And well, that's really where our story ends. Now, of course, I could end the video here, but I won't, because what, we're like a few minutes into this thing would be a short video. And of course, I would like to talk about everything that Sector 2 will probably bring to the game when it comes out. Eventually. If it ever comes out ever. Now, of course, we already know that Sector 2 is a new area coming to the base game, but it won't be added to the main map like other areas already in SAKTK, like the Tails Door area, the sewer, or even the bunker. No, Sector 2 will be completely separate from Sector 1. Like, completely separate. Not even in the same game. But don't worry, Sector 2 will still be accessible within SAKTK. It's not like Sector 2 is going to be a full-on sequel to the main game. I mean, we kind of already have that. You guys remember SAKTK 2, that abomination? yeah. Basically how most people think this is going to work is that from the main menu screen or something, you'll be able to click a button that sends you to Sector 1, or click another button that sends you to Sector 2. Simple enough. From this new menu option, if you pick Sector 1, you can of course play SAKTK as you would today. Completely normal, you can pick whatever mode you want. Juggernaut, Classic, Endless, everything is unchanged. However, if you pick Sector 2, you'll be able to play any of the modes within the Sector 2 map exclusively. Again, Classic mode, Juggernaut mode, Endless mode, etc. They'll basically be separate games within one game. Kind of like how Piggybook 1 and Piggybook 2 work, an atrocity I'm sure I'll cover on the channel one day. Everything between these two modes are the same besides the maps and locations. This is how Sector 1 and Sector 2 are going to work, although I'm fairly certain the guns from Sector 1 won't be transferable over to Sector 2, and the Sector 2 guns won't be transferable over to Sector 1. I don't know, could be wrong. But this game change will also mean that Sector 2 will have its own Endless Survival, own Classic mode, own Killer mode, own Juggernaut mode. Heck, it might even have its own story mode, you know, kind of like Area 51 Storming went. Well, that'd be pretty cool, you know, it's something else to bring players back. Who plays Storming in 2023? Nobody. Let's get to talking about the exclusive killers and weapons to Sector 2. More focused on the killers, actually. Believe it or not, there are actually some killers that will be appearing in Sector 2 that have already been confirmed by Hexavilius in multiple update leaks and spoilers. Now, before we even start, there are a lot of leak images that Hex has put out over the past year or so, and I'm not going to go over all of them since some of them have been confirmed to be non-canon now and subsequently have been removed from the game, but I'll definitely go over the killers that have been confirmed thus far. And of course, all of this stuff may change if or when Sector 2 is released, so yeah, it's possible that none of this stuff could get added to the game. Please do not attack me, I am merely the messenger. Now, the first and probably most obvious killer coming to Sector 2 when it does eventually drop is the Corrupted One from the Aberration boss fight. Ever since Fishface appeared in Classic mode after he made his debut on Boss Rush, players have practically been begging for the Corrupted One to get the same treatment. But why do I think the Corrupted One will get added to Sector 2 and not Sector 1? I mean, the developers could just throw the Corrupted One in the Wendigo area and nobody will complain. Well, simple process of elimination. We kind of already have the zombie in Sector 1, and the zombie and the Corrupted One are kind of the same killer. I mean, they have the same animations, same sounds, same behavior, same health, same damage. I mean, it kind of wouldn't make sense to have two of the same killer in the same mode. I mean, one could argue that Jason and Michael Myers are the same killer, but whatever, my point still stands. And also because a Corrupted One appears in one of Warship's videos while they were showing off a scrapped Sector 2 location. Yeah, can't really go against straight facts here. Corrupted One will 100% be coming to Sector 2 when it eventually drops. Now, the second killer that will be coming to Sector 2, or at least I think is very likely to appear in the Sector 2 update, is a killer known as Angel. Now, this entity has a bit of backstory to it as well, and something you might notice with all of these killers coming to Sector 2 is that they're all original characters. Yep, there's not a single killer within Sector 2 that has been confirmed so far that is from any movie, game, or TV show, because, you know, copyright. Now, Angel has actually been hiding in the corner of the SAKTK lore for quite a while now, ever since Aberration was still in Classic mode, in fact, and was originally supposed to be an opposite to Aberration, and even had plans to attack Aberration over the player if Angel spotted her in-game. If Angel was actually in the game, that is. I imagine this would work similarly to how Jane the Killer always attacks Jeff the Killer if she spots him, although Angel will probably also be hostile to the player as well. Now, I actually quite like the Angel. I think his design is pretty solid, and I'd love to see what his abilities will be. And I think having something to balance out the forces of light and darkness, you know, within SAKTK would be pretty cool. And even if Angel got added as a friendly killer like Jane the Killer, I mean, you know, I still wouldn't be complaining, although I highly doubt it. You know, this is SAKTK, you know, the game where even fish want to rip out your organs and watch you bleed. You could thank me for that one. But apart from that, yeah, we don't really know too much more about Angel, what his abilities will be and all that. There's been a theory going around that Angel was the one being held behind the Forbidden Seal in the secret base down in the Wendigo area, and if that's true, that's pretty cool. The next killer that we have information on that we were most likely dropping in Sector 2 is a killer known as Ace Andrews. Now, unfortunately, unlike other Sector 2 killers, we don't have a clean killer icon for them. You can thank the wiki for that. But what we do have is a full-body picture of his model. But yeah, besides that, we don't really have any more information on this killer besides this, and again, the wiki page. Sorry. Now, again, I really like this killer. What was his name again? Ace Andrews? Silly, goofy name, I like it. And judging by how his cards are like a separate model from the killer itself, I'm guessing he, like, throws them to deal damage. I'm really not sure how that would work, but hey, I'd love to see it play out, see what they can do. The next killer confirmed for Sector 2, though, actually has information to back up his existence. Whoop-de-doo. Now, unlike the last killer leaks, we actually have 2 images for this next one. One being a filtered image of the killer acting as the leak, of course, and a proper in-game killer icon. And yes, judging off of the bottom right text in the second image there, this killer is going to be known as Thadal, kind of an underwater diver type guy. Maybe it's just me, but I find it super funny and ironic that we have so many kills within SAKTK that are all related to the ocean. I mean, SAKTK is literally set in the middle of a desert, for crying out loud. I mean, we have Captain Zombie, who's a pirate, he's related to the ocean. We have Fishface, who's a fish, he's related to the ocean. We have the Kraken, needs no introduction there. And now we have Thadal, the diver sort of guy. Makes me wonder if all of their lore is connected in some way. Another fact that sets Thadal apart from the other Sector 2 killers that we have discussed thus far is that we actually know what Thadal's abilities will be. Apparently, according to Hex, Thadal will actually be able to throw his trident, which will immobilize the player that Thadal hits for a short time. Thadal will then able to finish off the player by punching them. So what I'm guessing is that Thadal will work like a more powerful version of Wendigo, but instead of flinging the target 50,000 feet in the air, we have to walk over to them to do extra damage on top of that. Thadal can straight up stun lock you like Granny's Trap and finish you off easily. Sounds like an interesting killer, would love to see it play out in modes like Juggernaut. Moving on from Thadal though, and yes, we're still not done with the killer leaks just yet, we have a killer called Daimyo. I think that's how you say it, kind of like a samurai ninja type guy. Not as cool as Thadal or Angel though, but that's just my opinion. Again, we unfortunately only have the killer icon for this guy, but what we do have is a picture of his weapon. And apparently, kind of like Captain Zombie, Jason, and the 5 million other melee killers that we already have in the main game, Daimyo is going to follow a similar logic to their abilities. But you know, instead of just swinging your sword mindlessly like most of the, Sector 1 killers do, like Michael Myers, Captain Zombie, Leatherface, Jason, Daimyo will probably do that too, but get this, Daimyo will be able to activate some kind of ability where, he presses F to activate this ability or something like that. Hopefully it's not an ability like Pennywise, you have to spam down the thing to activate the ability. That's really stupid, that should be changed. But yeah, Daimyo will be able to activate some kind of ability where he'll be able to do, get this, 90 damage on the next swing after he activates the ability, and the ability will have a 1-minute cooldown. I'm reading this all off the wiki page, by the way, even still, that's pretty good, that's pretty good ability. Keep in mind that players within SAKTK have a maximum of 100 health without the health boost game pass, and 120 health with the game pass respectively. Which, well, I don't even need to tell you how good this ability is. Looks like Daimyo might become the MVP of 1v1ing if we ever see him come to Sector 2. Although, don't get too excited since apparently Hex has stated that this mechanic will change in the future. Oh well, cool concept I guess. And no, we are still not done with the killers, but this killer is going to change things up a bit, and this time we have a female killer. Shocker, I know, and this killer is known as Tiana, and yeah, that's about all the information we have on her besides that fact in this image, and also the wiki page. According to SAKTK 51 developer Dozen, Tiana's name is based on one of his real-life female friends who immensely helped improve himself. Oh yeah, that's good. Gonna be kind of sus when people start making fan art of this killer, but yeah, pretty good. And finally, onto the newest killer teased in the Sector 2 leaks. And a fan favorite, at least from what I've seen, is a killer known as, oh my god, is that Master Chief? Okay, no, just kidding, it's a killer known as Wasp, although he kinda looks like Master Chief, or maybe that's just me. Anyway, we don't really have any other information on this guy apart from this image, so I won't bother going into detail about him. I mean, there literally is only one singular line of text on his wiki page. What do you want me to do? And the same could be said about the last killer we have to talk about. We have finally reached the end. Eden. We only really have this one image leak on him, or her. Oh my god, Eden is a girl's name, I'm stupid. But apparently this killer in particular, at least according to some developers, has a lot of lore attached to her. So we'll have to wait and see on what kind of a role she will play when the update drops. Speaking of the lore, actually, Sector 2 apparently has a lot of it. They're kind of working on the lore and, the mechanics of the game at the same time. Which actually I think is pretty cool, It's not like SAKTK where the killers respawn for no reason. It's still not explained. But yeah, I'm actually glad Sector 2 has lore. I mean, SAKTK only got some hints of a storyline added because people kept asking for it, and because Sector 2 is being built with an initial storyline in mind, I don't know, might make a bit more sense. I say might make a bit more sense, but this is a game about killing movie serial killers in Area 51. Nothing makes sense anymore. Now for this last section of the video, we actually have an interview with Hex himself. I guess the lead developer, or the lead developer of Sector 2. I actually have him on call right now. So yeah, Hex, I guess the main question that is on everyone's mind right now is that when will Sector 2 release? When will it come out? Do you have an exact release date?
1% complete. Won't come out for another 2 years? Everything's been scrapped? Oh.